Welcome Sagittarius to your in-depth monthly forecast for March 2024 for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater depth all the ins and outs particularly relevant to your sign. Now, your ruler Jupiter is right at the heart of the action on the very first day and in a potentially fortunate way, so can't wait to share that with you. We've also got a link between Venus and Jupiter, the two planets of fortune, between the 22nd and the 27th. So that's also awesome. The spring equinox of the 20th, and we have the lunar eclipse of the 25th. Stay with me for more. If you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast and understand what's going on in your personal astrology based on your unique birth data, if you share with me your time, date and place, or date and place, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you searing insights into the patterns that are played out in your life so far and a much more intimate understanding of how to work with them and seize opportunities going forwards. In my special package of 30% off, you can also get your 12-month transit forecast. This is an analysis of the moving planets in the sky and how they're interacting with your unique blueprint. So really exciting. Please see the link below. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. And also please feel very welcome to comment and interact with me. So Sagittarius, as March begins, the Sun, Mercury, Saturn and Neptune all lined up in the fourth house. Fourth house is how we feel about things. It's about our approach to security, physical or emotional. It's about where we live, how we live there, family relationships, and obviously a very important part of our situations. But it's also exactly a year since Saturn entered this area on March the 7th last year. And ironically, as you start this new month, the Sun is actually very close to Saturn. They were in exact conjunction on the 28th of February, so it's just inching away. But there may be something around that home or emotional life that does feel a bit restrained, maybe a bit limited. Perhaps it's a space issue, perhaps it's more to do with atmosphere. Maybe someone in your family needs your support, perhaps you're not living quite where you want to be. Perhaps just in terms of your state of mind, you may feel a little bit lower in emotional energy. But the fact that Jupiter, your ruler, is linking so positively with the Sun and therefore with Saturn does provide the potential for some levitation. And what Jupiter is saying in your sixth house is that if you can get more organized or accept some of those limitations and work with them and try to be as productive as possible, it can create some extra flow, which will be good for you. The midpoint between the Sun and the Moon, a critical degree in astrology at the start of this month, and therefore influential for the whole month, is at 10 degrees in Capricorn. So that too links well to Jupiter. And for you, Capricorn is the second house of money. So if you can be a bit more ordered, a bit more efficient, accept some of those constraints, things can start to improve around the finance. Also, a lovely combination between the North Node, which is our direction of travel collectively in terms of transits, obviously where it is in your natal chart is a big indicator on what your overall aims will be in life. So if it's in house 1, you need to be individualistic. If in the 7th house, it's going to be a big thing to be in positive relationships and so on. So having it in your 5th house, combining with Chiron, pretty close all month, but exact on the 5th, can be great if you want to develop creativity and flair within those more practical parameters. Week 2 sees the Sun start to link positively with Uranus. Your emotional and home life can change. It doesn't have to be disruptive. Uranus probably has been disruptive at times over the last 6 years. Perhaps things have been very unpredictable when it comes to your work, or maybe you've had roles where you feel you've been sacrificing, but at the same time, it's meant you've lost a little bit of, as you see it, your individual sparkle. But actually, you've probably been really richly appreciated. All this builds up to the super new moon of the 10th, which pretty close to the angle to Uranus as well, but sees Mercury then go into your 5th house and your sister fire sign of Aries. So Mercury isn't particularly happy in the 4th house, particularly in Pisces. That's 2 particularities, but Mercury in Pisces is in detriment, and the water doesn't agree with its need for logic and detachment, and obviously to communicate clearly. So Mercury moving into the fire sign of Aries brings some spark, some oxygen into the mix, but also some extra gusto and creativity. You're going to feel that your emotions are going less round and round, and you can outlet them. Whereas Venus, that replaces Mercury in Pisces, loves being in Pisces, and Venus in the 4th house is great for anything decorative, if you're wanting to refurnish in some ways. A lovely link, you know, if you're in the northern hemisphere, this could be an opportunity to start reshaping your outdoor space, you know, getting in the garden and getting that first spring air. But Venus in the 4th house can also be lovely to get together with family members. It does forge an exact conjunction with Saturn on the 21st. It's an interesting aspect, this. It has its up and it has its downside. It could mean that you feel a bit cooler about someone in your family, or someone can seem a bit distant to you, but it can also be a nice balance between being practical and creative around your desire in terms of the decorative side of things. But Venus actually forges a fantastic link with Jupiter across the 22nd to the 27th, which really can mean that something around your home or emotional life, some really good news is possible. Now the Sun is very close to Neptune through 14 to 19. Your emotional energy could be a bit lower and you could be more sensitive, but the 20th sees the Sun power into the sign of Aries, the sister fire sign, and of course connecting up with Mercury, the node, and Chiron. So the 5th house is really rock and roll. It's much more to do with speculation, it's much more outgoing, it can be fun, it can be sociable, and because of the fire element, it's really igniting you and your passions beautifully. It also links to Pluto in your 3rd house. So this is a new experience, and fantastic, you know, because this hasn't happened for many years. So what we've got here is an opportunity to use the passion of Pluto in terms of expressing your ideas, and the joyfulness that can come from the 5th house. So I feel you're going to really sense a transformation. It is true that Mars joins up with Venus on the 22nd in your 4th house. Mars in the 4th house can be a bit prickly, a bit grumpy, a bit reactive. It's rather like Cancer. And Mars in Pisces can be a bit subjective. But I feel that if you're wanting to make some changes to where you live, whether it is you know, some do-it-yourself jobs, or you want to remodel your kitchen or your bathroom, Mars gives you a lot more thrust and urgency to achieve that. But the 25th sees the lunar eclipse. The micro moon, this lunar eclipse is in Libra, which for you is a very friendly location. So the next 6 months, finding the balance between what you want in terms of your longer term future, the position of the moon, in terms of what other people want from you immediately, or where you get what you need individually, is in the sign of Aries, but Pluto's informing them. So it's going to be a lot of conversation, a lot more interaction socially in the next 9 months of this year, because remember, we've got the solar eclipse of the 8th, which is a total solar eclipse, but also a supermoon. And then we have the solar eclipse of the 2nd of October, also in a very sociable part of your situation. So the total eclipse, 5th house, brilliant for expressing your individuality. The Libra eclipse, very much about your connections to others. So you're just being asked really to start sorting out where you're going to invest your loyalties and your energy and your time. But because Pluto's in the mix, it can give you a lot to think about, but maybe a greater desire to communicate how you feel about where you can showcase your individual talents and flair. So I think actually a really positive eclipse. And then the last 2 days of the month, Jupiter, your ruler, and Uranus start to close up. They're going to come into an exact conjunction on the 21st of April, but they're actually going to be within 3 degrees right through to the around about the 7th of May, I think. So if you haven't quite found that job that you want, or the structure in your life that really works for you, because after all, you love the big picture, and where Uranus and Jupiter are is very much about the small picture, but making it work for you. But having your ruler in the mix gives you a fighting chance, and he's there through to the 26th of May. So use that energy. And if you have felt that your structures have constantly been tested and there's been a lot of tension, yes, the emotional side of your situation comes to the fore at the early part of this month. Well, I think you're running on full power by the time you get to that spring equinox. Really exciting stuff for you, Sagittarius.